Alright, so I just got out of Captain Marvel, and there's been a lot of mixed reviews on this movie, even though it has an 81% right now on Rotten Tomatoes. And a lot of people that I usually go to the reviews for, like the Flick Pick, was kind of neutral, was kind of mixed on it. Chris Stuckman gave it a C plus, I think. Double Toasted, they gave it like a matinee and a slash rental. And the guys at Channel and Doug Walker and Rob Walker said it was kind of dull. So there are a lot of like varying thoughts on this movie. Coming out of it, I can understand why, because for the most part, it is very formulaic. It is middle of the road for Marvel, especially with the next movie being Avengers Endgame, which is supposed to be like this big film. I'll get to more on that in a second. But, I mean, for the most part, I didn't hate the movie. I actually did kind of enjoy it. I think it's fun. I think it is formulaic. I think it is cliched for what you could usually expect from from these movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But for the most part, I did enjoy the film. I thought it was fun for the most part. It does drag. Like, I think a good maybe 80 to 85% of the film drags a bit in the middle parts. Like, Brie Larson in particular, I think she's a terrific actress. I've seen her in so many good films: Trainwreck, Room. I thought she was decent in Kong Skull Island, but here it took me a while to really appreciate her as Captain Marvel. Like, I think for me, the first half of the movie is kind of slow. Very few things in that movie, very few things in this movie were like really spectacular. There's a couple, the action sequences in this are actually pretty good, but I really didn't. I don't want to say I didn't like Larson this movie. Did, but it took me a long time for me to really appreciate her. Maybe about halfway through the movie, like right towards the middle of right before the third act, I think is where I really started to. I really started to buy into more of Larson in this role. And I think one of the biggest problems that this movie is that Captain Marvel's, they're setting her up as this big character who's going to play a huge part in Avengers Endgame, which comes up in, I think by the time of this recording, about 7 weeks from now. So there's really not a whole lot of like build up to that. And this is Marvel, and this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. These are the movies that are usually good at kind of building towards big events in this film, but they don't really do that. I think the only time they really do that, sometimes they'll do it on and off in the film itself, but mostly in the post-credit scene, like the first post-credit scene in the film, where it looks like it's a scene taken straight out of Avengers Endgame, where it kind of ends off where the Nick Fury post-credit scene from Infinity War ends off, where they find the pager that Brie Larson gives to Samuel L. Jackson's character Nick Fury in this movie. So I'm trying to so sorry if I'm stuttering my words. I'm trying to remember the scene, but in the film, in the post-credits scene, it's Black Widow, Captain America, Nick Fury, and I can't remember who the last person was. I think it was maybe. Well, anyway, the point is they find the pager. It goes off, and then they try to fit there is, and the credit scene ends with not Black Widow, Captain Marvel showing up, and then that's the end of the post credit scene. That looks like something that's going to be straight out of the movie. It's a cool scene, like it's a cool scene, but I don't know. I'm still not convinced how this character is going to play this huge part in defeating Thanos in Endgame, but. Then again, we'll find out in a couple weeks how that is, and who knows? Maybe the Russo brothers can actually develop that character more. And I assume there's going to be more Captain Marvel sequels, especially since this one's probably going to be a big hit. I think it's on its way to making like $150 million by the end of the weekend. So that they're probably going to make a sequel for this. But I don't know, for like a movie that's supposed to launch this character, who I think is going to have a bigger role after Endgame comes out. I don't think this was the proper way to kind of introduce her into this film. The movie really doesn't pick up pace until the third act. Like, I think the third act is where it really starts to get going. You get the fun action sequences again. There are actually some really funny moments, like Goose the Cat in this movie. I'm not going to spoil what happens with Goose the Cat in this movie, but every time he's on screen, it's it's the funniest part of the movie. Like the very end credits sequence, where I'm not going to spoil that part, but the very end credits sequence is kind of similar to Ant-Man and the Wasp's end credits sequence. The very end credits sequence. It's kind of a pointless scene, but it's a silly but funny scene, which I think is worth it. But The performances in here, most of them are all right. Brie Larson, I said, was okay until start of the second half where she really got going. Samuel L. Jackson was very good. Clark Gregg is back as Phil Coulson. He has like a few little bits here and there for the most part. He's not in there a whole lot. Neither is Jude Law, but Jude Law was pretty good in this film too. The action sequences are nicely done, I said. The visuals, most of them are okay. The one visual I didn't like was with Captain Marvel's, with Carol Danvers' helmet whenever she becomes Captain Marvel, which I thought, I don't know, I just didn't, I thought the helmet looked kind of bad, but for the most part, the costume looked pretty good. Story-wise, like I said, it's your typical Marvel Cinematic Universe origin story, but in a good way. Like, I didn't hate this movie. I'm not gonna be I'm not gonna be like everyone else. Not everyone else, like the people that want this movie to do bad or want this movie to be terrible. But I like it. I just don't love it. This is not one of those movies that I think I'm gonna watch over and over again. I would put this somewhere between, like the two Thor sequels, or maybe Iron Man 3 as a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that I like, but I'm probably not going to watch continuously. Like, I'll watch the Avengers movies all over. It's anytime. I'll watch the Guardians of the Galaxy movies anytime. I'll watch the Captain America movies anytime it's on. There are so many better MCU films that I would rather watch than this movie. That being said, I did enjoy the film. I don't think it's terrible, but I don't think it's that great either. It's kind of run-of-the-mill. I would give it maybe 3 stars. It's on a 3-star system. It's good. It's not great. It's fun. It's flawed. It's formulaic, but fun. I did enjoy it. Maybe I'll go see it again in the theater. Hopefully it'll still be here when Avengers Endgame is still playing, so I can kind of compare what they do to her Endgame to what they do here in this movie. But I mean, we'll see. I did enjoy it. Not good. It's good, not great. It's still worth a watch. If you like an MCU film in the past, you'll definitely enjoy this one. But just don't go in expecting a big game-changing film like they did with the Avengers films or Black Panther or Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a fun movie. Flawed film, but still very fun.